February 28, 1943, 6:40 a.m., Kasserine Pass, Tunisia. Cold desert air cuts through wool uniforms as dawn bleeds slowly over the Atlas Mountains. The wind carries the smell of burnt fuel, cordite, and something worse, panic. German panzer crews crouch behind their machines, engines idling low, listening. Somewhere beyond the ridgeline, American artillery thumps the earth in uneven bursts. Not confident, not coordinated, yet. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel stands apart from the noise, binoculars pressed to his eyes. His Africa Corps has just mauled inexperienced U.S. forces here. American units broke. Officers hesitated. Entire formations collapsed under pressure. Berlin will see this as proof of Allied weakness. Rommel does not. You can almost feel the weight behind his silence. His face is weathered, eyes sunken from months without rest. He lowers the binoculars slowly, as if doing so too quickly might shatter a fragile thought forming in his mind. Because something is coming. Rommel has spent his life reading enemies: British caution, French rigidity, Italian unreliability. But the Americans? They are different. Loud, sloppy, fast learners. And now, intelligence reports whisper a name moving through the Allied command structure like an incoming storm: George S. Patton. At this moment, Patton is not yet on the battlefield. He is still reorganizing, disciplining, sharpening. But Rommel has studied the reports: aggressive armor maneuvers, relentless training, zero tolerance for hesitation. A commander who believes speed is a weapon and fear is a disease. Rommel turns to his chief of staff. "They will replace these men," he says quietly in German, "and when they do, this war here will change." That same night, by lamplight, inside a canvas command tent flapping in the desert wind, Rommel dictates a message. Not a boast, not a complaint, a warning. He speaks of an American general who understands mobile warfare, one who thinks in movement, not lines, one who will not fight the way Germany expects. Rommel chooses his words carefully. He always does. "If the enemy places General Patton in command," the message states, "we must anticipate aggressive, unconventional operations. Underestimate him, and we will pay for it." This is not fear speaking. It is respect. Rommel sends the warning up the chain, toward Rome, toward Berlin, toward men in heated offices far from sand and blood, men who see war as arrows on maps, not as engines overheating under fire. Days pass, then weeks. Rommel waits for acknowledgement, for reinforcement, for strategic adjustments. None come.
In Berlin, the reaction is almost dismissive. Intelligence analysts scoff at the idea that the Americans, new to the war, tactically clumsy, could produce a commander worthy of concern. Patton's reputation reaches them filtered through arrogance and theatrics, a loudmouth, a showman, a general more interested in speeches than strategy. Hitler himself reportedly waves off the concern. The real threat, he believes, remains the British. The Americans are unblooded. Rommel reads the responses with a tightening jaw. Because while Berlin debates reputations, Rommel watches behavior. In March 1943, the Americans strike again, but this time something is different. Units move faster, artillery fires with purpose, counterattacks come without hesitation. Prisoners speak of relentless drills, of officers enforcing discipline with near religious zeal. And always, the same name circulates through captured documents and interrogations: Patton. Rommel paces inside his headquarters, boots grinding sand into the floorboards. He has seen this before. The moment when an enemy sheds its skin, when failure becomes fuel. He drafts another message, this one more urgent. Patton must not be underestimated. He is a commander who adapts rapidly. Our previous success will not be repeated against him. Again, the message climbs the bureaucratic ladder. Again, it disappears into silence. To the men in Berlin, Rommel has always been a problem. Too independent, too pessimistic, too honest. His warnings sound like excuses to those who want victories without cost. Rommel senses it now, an isolation more dangerous than enemy fire. He is standing alone with foresight as his only ally. And somewhere across the desert, Patton is arriving, not with caution, but with fury. Patton imposes order like a hammer strike. Units are reshuffled overnight. Officers who hesitate are relieved on the spot. Helmets are polished, salutes are crisp, movement is constant. He tells his men they will attack, and attack fast. Rommel feels the shift before he sees it. Scouts report American columns moving at night, armor probing weak points instead of frontal assaults, artillery coordinating with tanks instead of lagging behind them. This is no longer the same enemy. Rommel stands over a map, fingers tracing likely avenues of advance. He knows exactly what Patton will try to do, because it's what he himself would do. Outmaneuver, overwhelm, never let the enemy breathe. The desert that once favored German mobility is about to become a killing ground. And Rommel knows something else now. This war will not be decided by numbers alone. It will be decided by men who understand motion. And Berlin, blinded by arrogance, has just ignored the clearest warning it will ever receive. Because the American general Rommel fears is finally stepping onto the battlefield, and the real test has not yet begun.
March 17, 1943, 3:10 a.m., Gafsa, Tunisia. A whistle cuts through the darkness, not the shrill chaos of retreat, but sharp, controlled, purposeful. American infantry rise from shallow foxholes as if pulled by strings. Engines rumble to life without shouted orders. Tank crews mount their vehicles in silence, hands already knowing where to go. Somewhere in the black distance, German listening posts pick up the vibration, but too late to understand its meaning. This is not the American army Rommel crushed weeks earlier. This is Patton's army. George S. Patton stands beneath a hooded lantern, pearl-handled revolvers heavy at his hips. His helmet gleams even in low light, polished to ritual perfection. He does not shout. He does not need to. His presence alone sharpens the air. "You move now," he tells a regimental commander, voice low and absolute. "You move fast, and you don't stop unless you're dead." The attack unfolds like a clock spring released. American armor punches forward before dawn, not probing but committing. Infantry follow tightly, artillery walking fire ahead of them in precise increments. When resistance stiffens, Patton does not pause to reconsider. He shifts weight and hits somewhere else. Speed replaces caution. Rommel receives the first reports just after sunrise. They are confusing, contradictory. German outposts overrun not by mass, but by tempo. American units appearing where they shouldn't be, withdrawing before counterfire can lock on, then reappearing miles away. Rommel reads between the lines. This is not random aggression. This is orchestration. He orders reconnaissance flights, but Allied air cover snaps at German aircraft like wolves. Radio intercepts confirm what Rommel already suspects. American command discipline has changed overnight. He closes his eyes briefly. "Patton," he murmurs. Rommel has fought Montgomery, slow, methodical, predictable. He knows British doctrine as well as his own. But Patton? Patton is something else. A commander who treats warfare as motion itself, one who believes hesitation is defeat. Rommel pins fresh markers onto the map. The pattern becomes unmistakable. Patton is not trying to defeat German units one by one. He is trying to unbalance the entire front. Rommel dictates another message to Berlin, his tone now sharper. The enemy commander now in control employs rapid maneuver warfare. He attacks not for territory, but to force collapse. Immediate adjustments are required. Again, the reply is delayed. When it comes, it is infuriatingly detached. Berlin insists Rommel is exaggerating localized actions. Logistics remain strained. Reinforcements are not available. The Führer believes Allied aggression will burn itself out. Rommel slams his fist onto the map table because he knows this kind of aggression does not burn out. It accelerates.
Over the following days, Patton presses relentlessly. He rotates units mid-fight, keeping pressure constant. German formations find no rest, no rhythm. Counterattacks meet fresh American troops instead of exhausted ones.
Rommel rides forward to observe personally. From a ridge, he watches American armor advance, not in cautious lines, but staggered, flexible formations. When German guns open fire, Patton's tanks scatter, regroup, and surge again from unexpected angles. Rommel's lips tighten. This is textbook maneuver warfare. This is his doctrine, turned against him. He realizes now what Berlin cannot. Patton has studied German tactics intimately. Blitzkrieg, combined arms, momentum as weapon. And Patton has adapted them to American industry and manpower. Rommel feels something rare stir in his chest. Respect and concern. At a captured American position, Rommel examines abandoned equipment. Maps marked aggressively forward, orders emphasizing initiative. Margins scribbled with reminders, keep moving. Rommel understands then that Patton is not fighting battles, he is hunting commanders. By forcing rapid engagements, Patton denies German officers the time needed to coordinate. Radios crackle with overlapping commands. Units retreat, not because they are destroyed, but because they are disoriented. Rommel sees the future of this campaign unfolding. If Patton is allowed to continue unchecked, Axis forces in North Africa will not merely lose ground, they will unravel. Rommel sends one final emphatic warning. Patton is the real threat. His operational tempo exceeds expectations. Failure to respond decisively will result in irreversible loss. This time, the response from Berlin is colder than silence. Rommel is instructed to hold position. No reinforcements, no strategic withdrawal. Hold. Rommel stares at the message, understanding its meaning fully. Berlin has already chosen its narrative, and it does not include retreat, even if retreat is survival. As night falls, Rommel steps outside his headquarters. The desert sky burns with stars. In the distance, American artillery flashes like distant lightning. He can almost imagine Patton standing somewhere out there, smiling, restless, already planning the next blow. Rommel knows the truth now. Germany has dismissed the one warning that mattered. And soon, Patton will stop maneuvering. Soon he will strike where retreat is no longer possible. The trap is forming, and Rommel can see it closing.
April 5th, 1943, 11:20 a.m. El Guitar, Tunisia. The ground shakes, not from one explosion, but many. A rolling thunder that creeps forward in measured steps. American artillery, timed, coordinated, unrelenting. German tank crews brace inside their panzers as dust rains from the turret ceilings. Radio chatter spikes, then fractures into chaos. Units report contact, then silence. Smoke pillars climb into the blue sky, marking positions that were solid minutes ago and gone the next. Rommel arrives at the forward command post just as a runner stumbles in, breathless. Americans advancing from the south and west, Herr Feldmarschall, armor in depth. Rommel nods once. He already knows. This is the blow. Patton has drawn German forces thin with feints and probing attacks. Now at El Guitar he commits weight. Not recklessly, but decisively. Infantry fixes the enemy in place, while armor punches through seams that should not exist. Rommel studies the map. This is not an attack seeking victory by attrition. This is an attack seeking decision. German anti-tank guns fire until barrels glow. Panzer grenadiers fight with discipline born of experience. For hours they hold, but Patton does not stop. He feeds units into the fight like a tide, never overwhelming, never exhausted, always fresh, always moving. Rommel senses the balance tipping.
German reserves are committed earlier than planned. Ammunition runs low. Fuel is rationed down to the leader. He radios higher command. The reply is delayed. When it comes, it is worse than useless. Hold. Rommel looks out across the battlefield. Through smoke and heat shimmer, he watches American tanks advance cautiously now, but with confidence. They have learned, adapted. Patton's men are no longer charging blindly. They maneuver, suppress, flank. Rommel feels it clearly. This campaign is lost. Not because Germany lacks brave soldiers, but because command has failed to listen. Berlin still believes North Africa can be stabilized. Rommel knows better. He is known for weeks, and Patton knows it too. American forces exploit breakthroughs immediately. When German lines bend, Patton does not pause to consolidate. He pours through, forcing retreats to become routes.
June 6, 1944, 4:30 a.m., Southern England. Rain taps softly against canvas roofs. The air smells of wet grass, oil, and nerves barely held in check. In the darkness, engines idle, thousands of them, muffled, waiting. Men speak in whispers, others say nothing at all. Across the channel, German radar stations scan empty skies. In Berlin, the memory of Erwin Rommel's warning has long been buried beneath victories claimed on paper and failures explained away. Yet here, on the edge of Europe, the consequences of ignoring it are about to surface. George S. Patton is not among the men boarding landing craft this morning, and that terrifies Germany more than if he were. For months, Allied deception has done its work. Inflatable tanks, fake radio traffic, phantom divisions, all centered around one idea: Patton is coming at Pas-de-Calais. German intelligence takes the bait eagerly, because they remember him now, because Rommel's warning, once dismissed, has transformed into dread. Rommel himself is away from the coast. He has been arguing for weeks that armored reserves must be positioned near the beaches. Speed, he insists, will decide the invasion. Delay will mean disaster. But Berlin refuses. Hitler wants the panzers held back, centralized, controlled by him alone. Once again, Rommel's understanding of modern warfare collides with rigid command, and once again, Berlin chooses delay. When Allied troops storm the beaches of Normandy, German defenses hold briefly, then crack, not because of lack of courage, but because the response is too slow. Rommel rushes back to the front, surveying the damage. The invasion is real, and Patton is still missing. That absence gnaws at German command. If Patton is not here, then where? Rommel understands the trap instantly. Patton is the hammer. Normandy is the anvil. As weeks pass, German forces remain tied down, waiting for an invasion that never comes at Pas-de-Calais. Panzer divisions sit idle, engines cold, while American and British troops grind forward in Normandy. Then, in late July, Patton appears. Operation Cobra explodes through German lines like a shell through glass. Patton's Third Army surges into France with terrifying speed. Columns stretch for miles. Units bypass resistance instead of smashing into it head-on. Rommel watches reports flood in. Breakthroughs, collapses, entire German formations surrounded not by superior numbers, but by speed. The exact scenario Rommel warned about in North Africa is unfolding again on a continental scale. Patton does not fight the German army. He dislocates it. Command structures fail. Orders arrive too late. Retreat routes are cut before they are even used. Rommel's earlier words echo now in every emergency briefing. Too late. His Allied forces race across France. German high command struggles to regain control. Patton's army moves faster than maps can be printed. Fuel shortages slow him, but only briefly. Rommel knows the war is lost.
not because Germany lacks weapons, but because it lacks flexibility, because it ignored men who understood that modern war belongs to those who move fastest. On July 17, 1944, Rommel is gravely wounded when Allied aircraft strafe his staff car. He is removed from command. He will never face Patton directly in Europe, but his warning has come true in full. Patton drives east, the German army breaks, and the cost of dismissal, of arrogance, of delay is measured in cities lost, in armies destroyed. Rommel lies in a hospital bed, listening to reports he no longer controls. He does not feel surprise, only confirmation, because he saw this coming. He tried to stop it, and now the final reckoning approaches.
October 14th, 1944, 12:10 p.m., Herrlingen, Germany. The house is quiet. Too quiet. Autumn light filters through lace curtains, resting softly on a table set for lunch. Outside, leaves stir in the breeze. Inside, Erwin Rommel sits upright in his chair, hands folded, uniform pressed with ceremonial care. A black staff car waits at the curb. Rommel already knows why it has come. Months earlier, he had been pulled from the front, wounded, sidelined, silenced. Now Germany is unraveling exactly as he predicted. Patton's armored columns thundered across Europe. The Western Front bleeds, the Eastern Front collapses, and Berlin looks for someone to blame. Two generals step into the room. Their faces are stiff, official, apologetic without warmth. They offer Rommel a choice he knows is no choice at all. Cyanide, or public trial and consequences for his family. Rommel listens without interruption. He has spent his life understanding inevitability. This is simply another maneuver he cannot counter. He thinks, briefly, of the desert, of maps spread beneath flickering lamps, of warnings sent upward, ignored downward, of a loud, relentless American general who fought war like a force of nature. Rommel takes the capsule. Within minutes, the desert fox is dead. Officially, Germany announces he has succumbed to his wounds from the July air attack. State funerals are held, medals polished, lies carefully arranged. But the truth is already irrelevant. The war no longer belongs to men like Rommel. It belongs to momentum, and momentum is Patton's element. By late 1944, Patton's Third Army has become a legend, fast, brutal, unstoppable. German officers study his movements not to defeat him, but to survive him. They finally understood what Rommel understood early. Patton is dangerous not because he is reckless, but because he is relentless, because he never allows the enemy to reset, because he turns time itself into a weapon. Berlin dismissed Rommel's warning because it challenged comfort, it required adaptation, it demanded surrendering control to reality. And so, Germany paid the price, not in a single battle, but in a cascade of collapses. Cities fall, armies shatter, borders vanish. Rommel's warning echoes through history now, not as a footnote, but as a lesson written in blood. Great wars are not lost when the enemy is strong. They are lost when truth is ignored, when arrogance silences foresight, when warnings are dismissed because they are inconvenient. Patton did not win the war alone, but he embodied the future of warfare. Speed, initiative, and psychological pressure applied without mercy. Rommel saw that future. He tried to warn his nation. Germany chose not to listen. And history delivered the verdict.